the tabernacle, Mishkan, in ancient Hebrew, Mishkan. This has always been one of my favorite topics in the Torah for several reasons. Probably one of my favorite reasons, and this might take you as a surprise, but one of my favorite reasons is that the instructions of building the Mishkan, the tabernacle, are written in a really beautiful way. It's to the degree which kind of puts you in this really beautiful state. It's just the words are beautiful, and you can actually confirm this. Again, we're talking about the instructions of how to build the Torah. You can actually confirm this just by kind of like we have melodies for all those verses that you see here. So I have this paper in front of me. Shalom Rami, good to see you, my friend. And shalom Mindy. All right, so this is the parasha of the week. Again, if you're new or if you don't know about the Samaritans, we also have a weekly parasha, a weekly portion that we read. And this week we're going to read this part. As you can see here, this is in ancient Hebrew. I know many of you maybe do not read ancient Hebrew, but today what I'm interested to do is I kind of like read along, and also like as you can see here, we have this text on the right. This font is usually how is the Torah written, and the text or the font on the left here is the kind of the perush, the explanation, or the as you can say, for example, what's the right word for perush? Basically, how to interpret, like interpretation. It's not exactly translation, right? And there's different interpretations. All mostly agree on the same thing, but for example, this one specifically was one of the Samaritan priests. I forgot his name. We'll share that in the description. But basically, I believe he was from the Tzedakah family. But this is the portion that I actually like to. This book. This is from the Torah that I like to hold every Shabbat. So everyone in the family, usually the families go and sit together in a circle, and everyone reads their own portion, and also everyone usually has their own Torah. Sometimes you even develop this relationship with this your own Torah, your own book. And for me, I have a relationship with this book, specifically this Torah book, because it has this interpretation on the left, which usually is not found in other Torahs. So, welcome Pinchas. Is Mishkan Hebrew or Samaritan? So we say Mishkan in ancient Hebrew, Mindy. Okay, so let's take a look here. So here it says, and God said to Moses, Dabber al-Bani Israel, tell the sons of Israel, and they shall bring me a teruma. Teruma is like, you can say it's like a donation. It's like an offering. Which means that from everyone who feels and can help. So feels like he wants to help and can help. His heart is willing to help. Actually, it would be an interesting thing to kind of check out the also the translations. We have the Samaritan Hebrew and the Jewish translation. So give me 1 sec. I'll bring that out. So as you can see, this is the first. What actually we start with. We start with Shema, God in ancient Hebrew, asking Moses to take from the Israelites basically different materials. And this is the beginning of creating the Mishkan, and I'll tell you soon what is the whole purpose of the Mishkan in a way. But I wanted to search for Samaritan Torah. I actually have the PDF. I just forgot where I put it. Should be here. There it is. Now we just have to find a portion. Tabernacle. Don't think I can search in this. Okay, let me show you what I'm seeing here. So again, this is the Israelite Samaritan text compared to the Jewish Masoretic text. Where are we now? I see here, it most holy to Shema. Okay. Well, I see kerubim here, so we're close. Nice. 6 branches. Nice. There we go. So here it says, and Shema spoke to Mushi, saying, tell the sons of Israel, and they shall take a contribution for me from every man whose heart moves him. So that's interesting. Whose heart moves him. So basically, there's this thing. I don't know if it's connected to that. I mean, like, there's this saying, the Christian saying of a good Samaritan. There's this, I forgot this word when someone helps a lot. Altruism, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, you want to help. You want to contribute to the community, to God. You want to offer something to God. So that's what actually moves the heart, right? So that's what it's being talked about. Whether you want to donate it to really anyone, as long as it's a selfless act, that's the idea. And then here it says, and this is the contribution which you are to take from them, gold, silver, and copper. In ancient Hebrew, we say zab, kasif, unashit. Nashit means copper. And then here it says bright blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat hair. In ancient Hebrew, we say zab, kasif, unashit, tekelet, wargaman. Tekelet is tchelet in ancient Hebrew, which is the blue. Here it's translated as bright blue, tchelet. And ram skin, dyed red and yellow dyed skins, and acacia wood. Acacia wood in ancient Hebrew. Tulat, shani, ushesh, shazar. By the way, tulat means snail. Tulat. So there's this specific snail that I don't think everyone agrees what is the source of it. Right, altruism. Thank you for confirming. So there's this specific snail that I'm not sure if we exactly agree what is this kind of snail, but they used to take this specific color from that snail. Tolat. Some people say it's connected to til tchelet. Til tchelet. I think that's something else entirely. Tchelet, basically, which is the color blue. Okay, so pretty sure I had the second photo here. One sec. Okay, there it is. Alright, urot ilem mademmim. Urot means the fur, or as here it translates it to, where did I put the sorry, one sec. Okay, where did I put the PDF? Did I close it? Suddenly lost the translation of the ancient Hebrew Samaritan Torah. There it is. Oh, it was here all along. Wow. Okay. Sorry for that. So again, urot means right here. Ram's skins dyed red and yellow dyed skins and acacia wood. Acacia wood would be Uesi shittem. Okay, Wisi shittem. Okay. Urot ile mademmem. Urot tashem wisi shittem. So this is interesting. So acacia wood. If we search for acacia wood, what would we get? What would we get? Get it? That was all right. So it's a kind of a wood that everyone agrees upon. I definitely, it's not the first time I hear about it. So, but I guess something specific, maybe it's a strong wood, so that's why it was used in the Mishkan. Interesting. Okay, let's continue from here. So specific stones also. There's some stone called sham, right? Which is, there's this thing in Arabic, they call it Asham, Bilad al-Sham, which means the land of the Sham. And it's known that this land actually contains a lot of this specific stone, which is called the Sham. But here it says onyx stone. Apparently it's onyx stones, and setting stones for the ephod and for the breastplate. So the breastplate is the one that the high priest used to wear, right? With those specific stones on it that we'll talk about in a bit. And you all will make a temple for me. Notice here that there's a difference between the Samaritan one and the Jewish one. Slight difference, but here it says you all will make a temple for me. In the Jewish version it says, and they will make a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Actually, wait, is that like, it's not even mentioned in a sense? But here I know washu li makdash, and they shall make a sanctuary. We also have that. And you will all make a temple for me. Okay, so it's here it says a temple. Maybe the translation was different, I'm not sure. Precious stones, exactly, more. Okay, next. Okay, with tibnet kelkilo kanteshi. This is also a beautiful, before we jump on to the next one, here it says kakal esher ani mari utakbar. And notice here he says kechol asher ani mer'e utchabar, which means like I will show you at the mountain. So what does this ring a bell? This, for me, as I think about it, is that Mushi received the instructions to build the temple, as the Torah says here, probably on Mount Sinai, right? Because otherwise, why would he mention Bar? Let's see, what does he say here on the left. First it says, he kind of says, we talked about this, basically anyone whom his heart moves him, and here it says, beritzono hatov, so in his good will, he wants to, in his own will, to give, to contribute. Okay, so, and this is important, so with his heart moving to give but not take back. So you're not basically giving gold to just rent it, you're giving gold to kind of contribute to it, to this project, or to this holy temple or Mishkan. By the way, reminder, if you're not familiar, Samaritans did not have a temple. We had a Mishkan, a tabernacle. A temple, like Solomon's temple, is usually known to be kind of like a building, like a temple, right? The Mishkan, the tabernacle, is kind of like a huge tent where all those, well, the instructions to build the tools in it are here, and there's even other certain walls, but we'll get to that. Alright, here it says also, let's talk about Zab, Kasif, Unashit. Azab wa Kasif eviu tamim Mitzrayim. Here it says the gold and the silver and the copper, the Israelites, the Bnei Israel, they brought it from Egypt, right? Because before they went out of Egypt, they took those things with them. Tekelet samar ine kain shamayim. Kain shamayim. Alright, here it says tekelet, the color tchelet, is kind of like the color of the sky. Esho nimsa bayam sof. Mendag. Alright, and here it says also something connected to Yam Suf. So I hear it says that there's something that they used to take from the fish, specific fish in Yam Suf. Alright, so again, let's continue. Washita Aaron Isi Shittim. So this talks about the ark. So Isi Shittim. Ark of the Covenant. Sorry, not the Ark of the Covenant. Just the Ark. Isi Shitta means the acacia wood, right? So here he asks that you shall make an Ark of acacia. Welcome, Amir. Good to hear from you, man. Okay. 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide and 1.5 cubits high. And you shall overlay it with pure gold. And here in ancient Hebrew we say kasita utu, right? Sabbita, sorry. Sabbita utu zab ta'ur. And notice here that he says zab ta'ur, which means pure gold. And usually we know that the gold is really cut with many, many other things today. You can't really get really pure gold. But at that time the requirement was zab ta'ur, pure gold. Which means from inside and from outside you shall pour it, maybe is that right, is that word, and you will make it onto it a gold molding around it. All right, here's what I wanted to say. And you shall overlay it with pure gold. Inside and outside and out you shall overlay it, and you will make onto it a gold molding around it, which here he says okay, so an overlay, zirzab sabib. And you shall cast 4 gold rings for it, and fasten them on its 4 feet, and 2 rings shall be on one side of it, and 2 rings on the other side of it. So here we get to sabita. We also washita lu zirzab sabib. So 4 rings. So you see this, if you look here, it means 2 rings on the you can say corners, maybe, if we can translate that. Here it says more. It's kind of like it says here on the kind of like the side, the pole of it, maybe. All right, but what I was the point that I was making is, if you notice here, this sentence is really similar to the one under it, right? Look here and here, here and here, here and here. So we have a specific melody just for this part, that everyone knows really. Why? Because it's again the instructions are written in a way that is also a kind of meditative, maybe the right word. All right, continuing on. By the way, these 2 that look, again, these are like the 2 rings, or 4 rings basically, 2 here and 2 here. To show you what we're talking about, I think the photos on the internet maybe do a little bit of help to make us help imagine, but the ark would be the 4 rings on the ark. What if we search that? So this would be the ark, but where would be the rings? Oh gosh, I wish I had my uncle here with me. He knows so much more about the ark. But maybe these are the rings, because okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the rings perhaps were used to kind of put the wood inside them. Can anyone confirm that? So you have those here. Then you would put the wood inside, and maybe these are the 2 rings. Let's continue reading. Maybe we shall have the better clue of it. Okay. وباطة اتقدم بالتبيض. Okay, now that means, and you shall put into the ark the testimony which I shall give you. Oh no, the poles shall be in the rings of the ark. There we go. So right, so like I explained, so the poles, there's 2 poles, and they will be inside those rings. There's 4 rings, 2 on each side, and they will be used to carry the ark, and they will be made from gold. And you shall put the ark, the testimony which I shall give you. This would be so okay, next one I think. Let's go open the next photo. Shall have it here. Let's continue. All right. So وشيطة على العاشن شير شارد قابلت. Wait, I think we skipped. Oh no. That's 5 pages. Wanna take the right page. There you go. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Aaron el-Shatit Aaron bema. So there we go. This is what I've been looking for. So here it says Aaron el-Shatit Aaron bema. Well, al-Shatit Aaron bema means to carry the ark with them, meaning the pole. قطبيت أرون يايو أبدم لا يسيروا من منه, which means they shall not be removed from it. نططا الأرون إتقائد with آئدت إيشر التنئيلك. And this means the testimony. So what you shall put in the ark are those testimonies that I will give you. And if you're not familiar, one of those was the tablet, the 10 Commandments, and also one of them, I think, the Moses, staff of Moses. So if anyone knows if there's a different tradition in the Jewish traditions, let me know what's inside the ark. All right, let's continue. وشيطة كبارة زابطار أما طائم واسي إركو وما واسي رابو. Now here, kibarit, the translation of it would be right here. And you shall make a mercy seat of pure gold, 2.5 cubits its length, mercy seat. Here it says different in the Jewish Masoretic text. And you shall make an ark cover of pure gold. So a mercy seat. What is a mercy seat? Now I do know kibarit. I know how that it looks, but it's. I'm curious what would the internet have connected to that. Oops, I'm looking for this one. Let's see, mercy seat. Can't copy that. In the Tabernacle, maybe it will show us something. It says here this is a part of a larger passage that is dealing with the construction of the Tabernacle. Not exactly telling us. There was manna. Correct, Pinchas. Correct, because he did say that you shall keep it for the rest of the generations. Thank you for that. These were 2 sets of tablets, and the first one broke when he came. Right. Correct. So, what is the mercy seat and why is it so important? Alright, here it first mentions the kerubim, which are these 2, some people call them angels, some people call them like just eagles. So the mercy seat here, it says these 13 verses describe what came to be known as the Ark of the Covenant. The first few verses describe the ark itself, a wooden box that is about 45 inches long and 27 inches wide and tall. It has legs, rings, and carrying poles, and is overlaid with gold. Contained with the ark were the stone tablets with the words of the covenant written on them. The rest of the passage describes the cover or lid that was made for the ark. So it's kind of like a cover, right? You can call it. Well, the cover we call the kibarit. Okay. So it's the cover, right? If that's what's is referring to. Please let us know if you do know what it's the mercy seat exactly. I need to ask my uncle about that. But I'm guessing it's the cover that was covering the ark. Where is the ark today? Amir, it's kind of a controversy because, I've watched many, not many, but I've watched a few documentaries to talk about where's the ark. Now that's probably, I don't know if they were looking for, like there's the Samaritan ark, right? We believe we had one at least the first 500 years when the Israelites entered the Holy Land. So, is there a Samaritan tradition to where the ark was taken? Yes, Amir, actually there is. It is believed that it was at some point after 400 to 500 years after the Israelites' entry to the Holy Land. The first 500 years, the ark was actually on top of Mount Gerizim, as we believe in. And then the Israelites started to sin against God, and that made God, basically, according to our traditions, basically he kind of punished the Israelites by removing the Ark of the Covenant, hiding it. Technically, we know that he kind of sent a prophet to take all the tools and then hide them, and then traditions say that it was hidden around the mountain in one of the caves, and we do have some caves around, but it is believed that one day the Taib will come back and they will reveal it back. But what is the Mishkan anyway, right? So that's what we're about to talk about soon. We're just like covering a few, as you can see, of barely touching the surface of how it's being built, especially because I'm just enjoying I'm really learning a few words here that sometimes I take for granted. So let's continue. All right, Amma time. Okay, well, there we go. I'm getting there because Kibbaret Zab is something that I want to know. The Kibbaret is almost like the whole box. But why? Because here it says Mishani khasata Kibbaret iyashu. Okay. Washita shani kerubim zab maqasha teshi utimma. Kerubim. This is a really important word here. Kerubim. Cherubim, right, in Hebrew. And it's interesting for me because here, it says, let's see, cherubim. It doesn't say the exact translation of what is cherubim. And if you kind of Google what is cherubim or image of cherubim, those two wings or two angels, then you would in the of the Tabernacle. You're welcome, Amir. Thank you, bro. Not sure what is this, but maybe something like this. But the thing is, when I asked I think it was my uncle or my uncle from my mother's side, when I asked him what is kerubim, he mentioned the either two angels or two eagles, and then their wings would be touching, right? But then you start questioning, wait, what didn't the Torah say to us that we shall not make any image, right? Any image from the universe, whether it's in the sea or in the sky. This is where it gets interesting, because some people would say, okay, true, this is why we believe it didn't look exactly like angels, so this might not be really correct because it has faces. Some people would say that it's actually just kind of a shape that looks like two wings coming in together, which is where the high priest would sit in front of to talk to God, right? This is what the Torah would tell us soon. Alright, and here it says Maqasha teshi utimma. So the word Maqasha is interesting, and I knew it just a year ago. Maqasha is one piece, and not made from many pieces. So if for example, if God says that you shall do the kerubim as maqasha, it means that you shall make it as one piece. You shall not basically have a head, attach it to something, to the body or whatever. But let's see the translation of it here. One cherub at one end. Okay, so here we go. of hammered work. Is that what it is? Okay, and you shall make the two kerubim of gold of hammered work at two ends. The mercy seat will be made. Let's see here again. Kerubim and here it says. So here it says a hammered. Right, hammered. Where was it? Work. I think it's also the same thing, because if it, correct me if I'm wrong, hammered work kind of means just using the hammer to shape it, right? So that's not basically cutting it. I mean, that's, I think, what makes sense. Okay. Through the chief angel who likes messengers, eagles are Hashem's messengers. They minister to him and he sits in the mercy seat. Yeah, God has a conscience too. He likes to be ministered to. He loves his own word. Mushiwarun. Right, more. Okay. And there I will meet with you. So I kind of skipped here, but let's continue from here. وَيُ أَكَرُوبًا فَرَاشِي كَانَافِمْ الْمَالَ. And the cherubim shall kind of lift their wings to upwards. سُكَاكِمْ أَكَانَافِيِمْ مَعَ الْأَكِبَارِتِ. Now the word sukekem kind of means touching, right? But let's confirm that here. And the cherubim shall have wings spreading upward, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and facing one at one. So sukekem actually doesn't mean touching, it means covering. So this makes me understand what is the mercy seat better, because if they are covering with their wings something, so the mercy seat would be kind of like what's covering the actual ark, right? So this part over here would be the mercy seat, because they are covering that. Could the hammered work be to create a pattern? Good question. I mean, the hammered work, like the idea of it is that you need to have a shape, and I think it also means that it's more strong when you don't cut it out and then attach it. You know, they didn't have the sophisticated tools to attach gold maybe as we did today. So this is why maybe it was malkasha. Something that I want to leave as a question for my uncle here. Definitely gonna include something about the Mishkan in the book. I love the topic. Kind of some, like, for example, some people, like, for example, my uncle once told me that the Mishkan is kind of like a computer in many ways, because, or even the body, the human body in many ways, because it has those tools and it has those, there's a body also, and everything has to be moving together. Even the stones on the breast plate has to be moving in a specific way, so that the high priest communicates with God to get the wisdom, right? So this is what the tabernacle really is all about. It's this one body that, if the high priest and if the nation of Israel basically would act in according to all the commandments of Shema, God, then the breastplate, and let me show you how does that look like if you don't know. The high priest clothing. I'm sure we can find something like that here. There it is. So this is like a more or less like perhaps how it would look like, but we'll get to that soon. But the most important thing we want to focus on is those stones on the basically on the chest of the priest. Usually they are, of course, 12 for the 12 tribes. And then when all the 12 tribes are working together, like following the commandments, then all the plates would turn on. Basically, they would light up. Between those plates, there would be a golden chain also. So, all right. Give me 1 sec, guys. I have to take this call. 1 sec. Sorry for that. Basically, a taxi was coming to pick up something. We had a model of the Mishkan at my child's school, and we could play with it, but most of the time we sat down. We just and talked about it. Yeah, I totally know what you mean, Pinchas. Okay. So here we continue. من أكبر التاشي إذ أكروا بمعلشاني قصوته ويؤكروا من فراشي قناف المكانة. We said that it means that it's covering, that they would be covering with their wings the ark. وفاني مع العاد, and their face will be towards each other. الكبارة يفاني أكروا بمناطتها يتأكبارة على الأرون من المالة والأرون تتانت أيضا. And you shall put the basically aidat means the what was it in English? We said this testimonies. Now this is where it all comes down to. Like, this is one of the most important passages, I think, in my opinion, in the Torah. This is where God would talk to the Mushi or the high priest. Whenever there was this communication, the Torah would tell you that there was the huge cloud that would come above the Mishkan, right? So that's one sign. Also, that they also used to know when to move, when to not. But still, we also know that the Torah tells us here, this is how basically God used to communicate with either the Mushi or will communicate with the high priest, who was the only one who's probably allowed to even go near the ark. I mean, specifically to communicate, but there was also people who used to carry it around, right? Because it's a portable device, if you want to call it. Even what stone is of what tribe? I think we know, Pinchas. I think we do know. I know that the Torah doesn't exactly talk about the specific ones. It just says that you shall bring those kind of stones, and then you shall put them on the names of the sons of Israel. So that's what it only says. Welcome, Basil, my friend. Good to see you. Okay, so let's see here. What does it say? Like the writer here, if you look here, La yasuru minnu, which means he's talking about يتأبد ميشار والأرض تطبيعات كم كايشر ومصائف كم إشار يصاب معكم. So yeah, it kind of mentions that the ark also used to help them know where to go, when to stay, when to like camp. Okay, let's go for the next one. Alright, so here it says Shalan Isi Shittim. Shalan means the table. Which kind of reminds me, let's search for the tools of the tabernacle images. Do we have each tool? Because there's a famous image that we have. I don't think we have the image. Let's say Samaritan Tabernacle. There's these drawings that we sometimes have. I don't know if I can find it on the internet here. that have describes all the tools that were used in the tabernacle. But this is a kind of a close, perhaps like a imagination of how it might have looked like. You can see this is supposedly in Sinai, and you can see the camp around the tabernacle, and even the numbers around the tabernacle, like the Levites would be inside, right? Or would be allowed inside. And then you would have specific numbers in the north, specific numbers in the south, from different tribes, all mentioned like very closely in the Torah. We have really like many images, pretty much. Notice here that the actual sacrifice, the burning, the offering, would be outside. This is the cloud that I talked about, by the way. Okay, let's continue reading from here. So the table, we talked about Sholan Isi Shittim, which means the table of the acacia wood, 2 cubits long and 1 cubit wide and 1.5 cubits high. And you shall overlay it with pure gold and make it a gold garland around it. And you shall make for it a rim of garland around it. And you shall make a gold border for the rim around it. And you shall make 4 gold rings for it, and put rings on the 4 corners which are on its 4 feet. The rings shall be against the rim holders of the poles to carry the table. So these are the actual rims, right? Okay, that we talked about for the poles. So notice it's really kind of detailed in those little things. And it has to be like that, right? Because it's giving instructions to build one of the most important things in the Torah, really. You know what it kind of reminds me of, by the way, while we're reading this? It kind of reminds me of the Ark of Noah, because Noah also received specific instructions to build the tabernacle. Not the tabernacle, sorry, the ship. And those instructions kind of remind me, like what I'm reading here, the way that God kind of described to Noah how to build it, kind of reminds me of also here. Like they're similar in many ways, if you know what I mean. The glory cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. Good. Yes, exactly. And you shall make menorah. Oh, what? That's one of my favorite verses, which is right here. Washita menurat zabtaur. Washita menurat zabtaur. And you shall make a menorah out of pure gold. Maqasha teshit menorah. So again here, maqasha. I see the translation of English in English. Here it says that it's kind of hammered. Let's continue reading here. As you can see, you shall make of hammered work. Its cups, its pulps, and its flowers shall be of one piece with it. So here we see, like, maybe this can help us like understand what is hammered work, because it says maqasha teshit menorah, hammered work you shall make it, and then after that it says maqasha teshit menorah yereqiya qaniya gabiya, its pulps, its flowers, and its cups. Minna yayu, which means shall be out of it, from one piece with it. So Shana Tova Tom. Thank you, my friend. All right. Our Shana is gonna be like 14 days before the 3rd of May. So our Pesach is on the 3rd of May, Tom. So I think that would make it to be the the 19th of April is for us, something like that. All right, continuing on. And so again, the menorah, let me bring out an image of the menorah. was expecting a better photo. Still a nice photo though, but perhaps this. Perhaps, okay. So I know this verse by heart because it's one of my favorite verses, and there's also a beautiful melody about it. But let's see. So it says, "Washita menorah zabtar," and you shall make the menorah of pure gold. Maqasha teshit menorah. Faria. So there's the word kaftar, which means buttons. So you can look here. Here. These are the buttons. Now, it also says, so this, if you look here, there's actually one candle, right, in the middle. And then, if you look here, actually, let's go for the third. So there's one candle, but I want to show you the next verse. So look here, we have 3 verses that are essentially the same, right? If you look at it, they're literally the same. كفطر تيتشاني أقانم من منا كفطر تيتشاني أقانم من منا كفطر تيتشاني أقانم من منا, which talks about those 3. Whoops, this is the photo I wanted. Where did it go? So the 3 sentences that are the same are basically those candles that are coming out of it. So notice there's one button and there's 2 coming out of it. One button, 2 coming out of it, and one button, 2 coming out of it. So these 3 verses talk about كفرت شاني أقانم من منا. شاني أقانم means the 2. You can call them like candle holders, maybe. What's the right translation for this? Branch, right? Or maybe. By the way, the 3 verses that are repeated, here we go. So, and the pulp shall be under the pair of branches coming out of it, and the pulp under the pair of branches coming out of it, and a pulp under the pair of branches coming out of it, for the 6 branches coming out of the menorah. So there's the 6 from the main one, like I showed you. So obviously this was used to light up the inside of the tabernacle, right? And the traditions are that it was never to be put off as long as the tabernacle is there. It shall be on 24/7 with a specific oil. I mean, was it olive oil or something? But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And you shall make its candles 7, right? Because you have 1 in the middle, and then you have 6 coming out of the middle, so that's 7. And you shall mount its candles, and they will shed light towards the direction of its face. Which in ancient Hebrew we will read. Again, they shall be hammered like one piece. That one means snuffers. What does that mean? Maybe we just snuffers. Snuffer meaning, apparently there's a restaurant called Snuffer. It's a small hollow metal cone. Okay, it's just a handle. Okay, it's used to extinguish a candle by smothering the flame. A candle snuffer, that's how it looks like. So that's a snuffer, right? I'm assuming, so basically it's the place where we put the oil. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Interesting. Continuing on. This one we did look on. Let's continue from reading from this one also. Okay, here it says, and you shall join 5 curtains by themselves, and the 6 curtains by themselves, and you shall double over the 6th curtain before the front of the tent. So again, building around the tent already. We didn't even reach the other tools. So there's different tools in the temple, obviously. So we will not have time to cover that all today, but today was more of like a translation plus interpretation of the tools of the tabernacle. But I would like to know more about like the actual, like what kind of communication did the high priest have with Shema, with God, right? Because obviously, like, we know that this is the end result, the end goal of all of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the wisdom that the high priest would, perhaps he would be put in the state where he would communicate with God after like doing all that ritual, purifying and the sheep sacrifice or the cow sacrifice, the bull, and then after all that, perhaps the Torah describes this communication. So there's a lot of things that we need to cover. All right, so we're almost out of time, but I do want to do one more thing. I think I really want to continue with this. Probably like next week I'm going to cover like the last bits of it. We obviously just talked about like maybe 1 or 2% of what can be talked about, not even on the Ark. But I think there's there's some things I actually here looked about. So I just asked ChatGPT for like what could be like interesting topics to talk about if it was the tabernacle, and it kind of showed me with a few things here. Here it says, for example, the design and construction of the tabernacle. You could delve into the intricate details of the tabernacle's design and construction, and different things. The tabernacle and its connection to Jesus. Apparently also, some people would say that like Jesus is connected to the tabernacle and that his body or something. That's what a Christian one time told me. How the various elements of the tabernacle's sacrificial system and the high priest points to Jesus and his role in our salvation. Apparently ChatGPT is also kind of pointing out that Christianity connected to the tabernacle. But that's basically like most of what I could cover today about the tabernacle. But the last thing I want to do is to choose a random verse from the Torah. I mean, let ChatGPT basically talk about it. So let's let ChatGPT choose a random verse. So give me a random verse from the first 5 books of Moses. First 5 books of Moses, that's how I call it. Again, we tried this one like last time. I think it's an interesting experiment. Random verse, then talk about it. Just a few minutes, the last few minutes actually of this live. Something I like to do, so. Sure. Here's a random verse from the book of Exodus. Then Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh. Alright, can anyone guess what it's going to say? Thus says the Lord God, let my people go, and that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness. Now it's interesting because like at some point he Mushi goes and tells Pharaoh, okay, let my people go. And then like the Pharaoh told him, okay, who is going? And Moses said, everyone, basically. And kind of Pharaoh didn't like that, because Pharaoh said, we will go, as Moses said, that we will go with us, our children, our elders, our sheep, and basically everything. So Pharaoh God made Pharaoh have a stronger heart, and he didn't agree. One more. Maybe we should get ChatGPT Plus. But like, I like the kind of like ability to really take something random, to ask it about random things. Because when I sit sometimes with one of my friends, his name is Brito, I ask him to give me a random verse in the Torah, just like, and then you would wonder like, why did this verse specifically come across his mind? It's random, but still, it makes you wonder. Okay, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. Genesis 1:3. That's one of my favorite verses, obviously. That's the first thing that comes out of the mouth of God, basically. Or you mean it's a lamed at the beginning? Is that what you mean? One more. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that makes atonement for the soul. In ancient Hebrew, we have this verse. We say, Ki addamu an-nafish, right? Or Ki an-nafish baddam, right? So this is why we cannot eat anything that... Basically, we're not allowed to drink milk. We're not allowed to drink blood. We are allowed to drink milk, but we're not allowed to drink blood. Because the Torah tells us that the life is in the blood. Or the life is the blood. Ki adamu an-nafish. In ancient Hebrew we say. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron his son, saying, this is the way you shall bless the children of Israel. Say to him, Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his shine. The brachat kohanim. I think I had that once here. This is basically chanted by the high priest every week. Every end. Shabbat, basically. Cool. I think this is it for today. There's... few things that I wrote down that I want to ask about for my uncle, and he's helping me also organize a few notes here and there for the book. I think I want to kind of like give you guys a small glimpse of how the book kind of looks like. So far I just did like around 30 pages, and I have someone who's gonna help me with like, grammar and everything, and editing perhaps. It's much harder than I thought, because there's a lot of paragraphs, and you don't know if you should put this here, and it's much trickier than I thought. But then again, it's a really interesting project. It's making me learn a lot. It's making me get excited to learn new things. I myself, I'm a very curious person. So is dam blood in Hebrew like Adam? In Hebrew, well, in ancient Hebrew we say dam, and in Adam in ancient Hebrew we say Adam. So I thought about that once. Like, is dam taken from the word Adam? It really makes sense if you think about it, but not sure if that's exactly the reason why it's called like that. See, we have this. There's this episode I want to shoot a video. I kind of working on it, kind of building ideas for it. It's a short video, which I'll be probably releasing like sooner. It talks about the first word of the Torah. And what is the first word of the Torah? Barashit, in the beginning. In English, you cannot say it's one word, because in English you have to say in the beginning. or you can find another word and you can say like, I don't know, what's one word for barashit? Starting or something like that, but you get my point. So barashit. So why does the Torah begin in this word? First of all, it really makes sense because everything has a beginning. Like, you started watching this video, so there's a beginning of when you started watching this video. You begin your day by waking up. You begin to open your eyes. You begin to get out of bed, right? Everything has a beginning, and the universe obviously had a beginning, a first beginning. And before anything could happen, there has to be a beginning of something. That really makes sense, right? But what's also interesting is you have some people would say, why was the first letter? Why wasn't the first letter alaf? Why was beat, which is B? And some would say like it might have been because alaf kind of indicates that there was already something, which is the consciousness of God or God, right? Which kind of makes us read the second word. So the first word was barashit. The second word was elubim, right? Bara. Barashit, bara, which means created. So we say barashit, bara, elubim. So there was a beginning. When there was a beginning, then there was God, because He created. After there was God, who basically created consciousness and the ability to perceive. Only then, when you can perceive, when there's a field of perception, then you can create matter, which is Otis, right? So you have Otis Ushamim, which is the sky, the heavens, and the earth. I mean, that's one thing that I thought about. Might not make sense to some people, but there's also agreement on like that's what some priests in the community also would tell you. Because the argument usually in science is that you need matter for consciousness to arise. While that's debatable today, even in the even if you look at quantum physics, there's a lot of debate over there that actually consciousness is really needed for matter to exist. In fact, consciousness decides in a way that if something would exist or not in many ways. You can search this, I don't know, is it the double slit experiment or something like that? Or like the cat in the box, right? You can also search about that. But anyways, as you can see, there's a lot of things I want to cover, those topics. So barashit bara, right? So that's the second word, bara. Then you have eluim. Then you have it ashamim with odis. Shamim, odis. Some people will say that's space, and then odis, matter, which can be earth. So many things, really interesting topics to talk about. So, okay, I think this is it. If you have any more questions, guys, please let me know. More than happy to answer. Finally, we get to have some rest, also well-needed rest for this Shabbat. I don't know, where's the channel going? I've been doing those lives. I think this is like now live number 9, and for me it's also a nice way to interact with people who like the same topics that I like. I mean, Torah is one of my, it's one topic that I want to cover, but it's also a foundation of being a Samaritan, really, because you grow up reading Torah all your life, and you want to understand it better. That just only makes sense. So I think this is this is one way for me to kind of study Torah, then share what I'm studying, and it's also helping me in the process of writing this book. And then in the future, we would be more than happy to also cover other topics, and then maybe even relate them to science or whatever. So, all right. Wish you Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and the Shana Tova. And if you're So wait, in Judaism, it's today, right? It's not the New Year's. I didn't know that. The New Year. And also the in the Muslim world, it's also the Ramadan, right? So okay, that's it for today. Have a beautiful weekend, guys.